Hey everybody, welcome to another video here. We got a little bit of an update. Cast is off. So that's the good news. The not so good news is that I still have to wait 2 weeks for the fracture to kind of seal up a bit, heal some more before I'm cleared for any activities. But in the meantime, I figured I'd make this video because I've talked about it before. I said in a previous video that I put a deposit down on the new Bronco, like apparently 200,000 other people have. So the building price was recently released, and like everybody else, I decided to go on there and go ahead and build the trim that I have reserved, which is the Badlands. And as I was doing that, I realized that there are certain things that I could and could not get, and a bunch of trims have different options, some unique features. So if you're not new to the channel and you've been following me for a little bit, you may be wondering why I'm even making this video. Well, I figured that hey, I have a couple motorcycles and I need my own vehicle to tow them with. So I figured that the Bronco might be something cool that I could try and get to tow my motorcycles with. And of course, do some 4x4 stuff with it. Now, if you're new to the channel or if you're just interested in the video, we have a whole list of things here. Some unique features, things that you can and can't get on each of the trims, like I said. Hopefully this video is informative. Let's go ahead and get into the action. Okay, so starting with the GOAT modes here. If you don't know what the GOAT modes are, basically they're just different settings for throttle response, steering, front and rear lockers, four-wheel drive, all that for different types of terrain. But we have a chart here for each of the trim levels and what GOAT modes they get. I'll go ahead and put it on the screen for you guys so you can see. This chart is from Bronco 6G, but you can get the GOAT modes off of one of Ford's brochures. But as you can see, the base is going to get 5 of them, no mud, rock, or Baja. The Big Bend gets 1 more, it gets mud. Black Diamond gets 7, and it does not have Baja. The Outer Banks is the same as the Big Bend, no rock or Baja. Then the Badlands and the first edition get no sport mode, which we'll talk about here in a second, and then the Wild Track, you can't get the rock mode. If this is true and Ford doesn't change it, the Badlands not having sport mode kind of is a little bit unfortunate. I filmed a quick clip here so you guys can see how sport mode keeps you in the power band, gives you the power that you want without having to really just floor the truck in order to get it moving. So here's that clip. Okay, so as you can see here in sport mode, if you watch the boost gauge in the top right and watch the gear that we're in next to the tachometer here, you can see that sport mode likes to keep the RPMs right before boost. The turbo spool up, so as you can see here, rolling onto the throttle, you instantly get boost, and then even just half throttle, downshifted enough from 4th to 2nd. If you're passing someone, it helps you stay in that RPM range, or at least it's ready to downshift. Now you see normal mode. Again, you can look at the gears here, upshift 4th, 5th, and we're going 40 miles an hour. So if you want to pass someone, do the same amount of throttle, about 50%. Goes down to 4th gear. It doesn't really get you down into 2nd or 3rd. So it kind of requires a little bit more effort in order to get going. You kind of need to give a full throttle there. And even so, the throttle response doesn't feel as, it's quite fine-tuned as is the case in sport mode. So like I said, it has Baja mode, which is supposed to keep it in the lowest gear possible. But the only thing I wonder about is if you are to use the Baja mode in place of sport mode on the street, like some people say that you can do, I wonder if it affects the ABS, because ABS is not something you want to mess with on the street. So right off the bat, you can see that there are things that you can and can't get for each of the trims. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to some other options here. We'll start with performance, then we'll move on to body, electronics, interior, special features, things like that. But kicking it off with performance, all the Broncos get the Haas suspension system, which is high-speed off-road stability suspension. But with the top 3 trims, you get the Bilstein position-sensitive dampers. So that's nice if you're getting one of the top 3. You don't really have to worry about that. For example, if you don't want to get the Sasquatch, you can still get those special dampers, which I would assume was probably going to help in some high-speed stuff, kind of like whoops, maybe not Raptor type of whoops, but still better than just the Haas system by itself. But it is worth noting with the lower trims you can get the Sasquatch and then you get those dampers, but it is kind of nice to know that you get those standard on the top trims. Moving on here, a big one I think for those off-roaders is the sway bar disconnect. Now I thought this would be an option that they would add to each of the trims. If they didn't have it, you could get it because they made a big deal about it in the release and some of the press events. Apparently it comes standard on the first edition and the Badlands, and it only comes on the Badlands in the first edition. You can't get it on any of the other ones according to the build and price now that it's released. Now some might argue that the wheels and tires of the Sasquatch package is more important than the sway bar disconnect, which I can see as well, but sway bar disconnect is also kind of nice just in case you need that extra articulation to get a wheel on the ground, say it's hung up, and then you can disconnect that sway bar, go ahead and put it down on the ground, and hopefully get that traction to get over an obstacle. I'll get into this later, but the Black Diamond and the Badlands are kind of similar, other than the fact that the Black Diamond does not have that sway bar disconnect. If the Black Diamond had a few options more, then I would probably consider that over the Badlands, but let's go ahead and continue on here. So with the two highest trims, you get the 2.7 liter and the 10-speed standard. I think the motor is probably the biggest thing here. You can get them on the lower trims, but the 2.7 liter, people are tuning these things to about 500 horsepower in the aftermarket with F-150, and there will be people with the Bronco who will be tuning it as well. I think that's just kind of a nice thing to have with the Wild Track. Now moving on, the Badlands is the first trim to get the automatic 4x4 transfer case standard, and the upper trims as well, the Wild Track and the first edition, even without Sasquatch package. Again, it is available on the lower trims with the Sasquatch package, and some even without. Again, on the upper trims, it's just kind of a nice thing to have. You don't have to spend the money to add it as an option on the upper trims. Now moving on to the body here, we got some pretty unique things specific to different trims. So like I said, the Badlands and the Black Diamond are pretty similar in some aspects. One of those aspects is the heavy-duty modular bumper, the bash plates, and the rock rails. Those are all standard on the Badlands, the Black Diamond, and the first edition as well. It is worth noting on the other trims that you can get this modular bumper, the bash plate, and the rock rails. But like I said, on these other trims that come with them standard, you don't have to pay for it as an option like you do on the base, the Big Bend, the Outer Banks, and the Wild Track. It is worth noting though that in some situations it may come out cheaper. Like with the Big Bend, you can get all of the armor and equip it similarly to the Black Diamond and actually come out a little bit cheaper. It's a matter of hundreds of dollars, but it still comes out cheaper. So now moving on to the electronics, there are quite a few things here that you can't get on, say, the lower trims, and you can get them on the upper trims. And I would say that it plays a pretty big factor for maybe the techie people or those who want all the features on the Bronco. So for the lower three trims, you can only get up to the 8-inch screen, and then the Outer Banks here is the first trim where you can get the 12-inch screen. And then on the base, you can't even get the connected navigation. You have to get the Big Bend in order to get that. The Outer Banks, as you can see here, you can get that 12-inch touchscreen right here. Now, what does that entail? Well, that means that you can get the 360-degree camera, which means you can get the front-facing trail camera. As you can see, my dad's truck has a 360 camera. I can't say that I use the overhead 360 view that much because sometimes it's not too accurate, but I do use this front-facing camera, which is nice to see if you're close to a pole out there in the wildlands of the mall, or if you're off-road, you can see over a ledge. For example, if your nose is straight up, that camera kind of points down a little bit so you can see what's in front of you. So like I said before, I wish the Black Diamond had a few more options like the Badlands did. For example, not necessarily the 12-inch screen, but the front-facing camera. At the moment, it doesn't appear that you can get a front-facing camera with the 8-inch screen. Now, not having the availability for the 12-inch screen, that is also correlated to the packages that are available on each of the trims. So with the availability of the 12-inch screen, you can get the mid package, high package, or the Lux package. So the 8-inch screen models, the Big Bend and the Black Diamond, you can get the mid package, which includes some pretty nice stuff like ambient footwell lighting, auto dimming rear view mirror, Ford Copilot 360 remote start. The base, you can only get the standard package, which is push button start, manual adjustment steering, LED headlamps, stuff like that. So what does that mean if you can get the Lux package? Well, that means adaptive cruise control, the Bang & Olufsen sound system, which my dad had in a previous Audi, and I can say that sounded pretty good. The evasive steering assist, you guys can see other things here, built-in navigation, stuff like that. You can get those options with the Lux package. So those are some of the packages that you can and can't get on some of the trim levels. So that rounds up the packages here. We have a few more different things here. So starting with unique features, we have a couple different things here. So the Big Bend is the lowest trim you can get the signature lighting, which looks pretty nice here, as you guys can see in the pictures. I like them better than just the standard headlights. Some people are flip-flopped. They like the standard headlights better because it's more iconic to the Bronco. And then, like I said, again with the Black Diamond, kind of an odd thing. You can't get the signature lighting for whatever reason, even though you can get it on the Big Bend. Hopefully they'll add this as an option later. Signature lighting is standard on the Outer Banks and the upper trims. Lastly, for the unique features, another standard item here, something that you don't have to pay for if you get this trim level. So the Badlands and the Black Diamond come standard with the auxiliary switches in the overhead console. I believe you get 6 of them. In the other trim levels, it is an option, but again, it's nice to have it standard so you don't have to add it as an option later and pay for it on the other trims. So for the interior, we have a few different trims that only get certain interior options. For example, the Big Bend, you only get cloth seats. You can't upgrade them to marine grade vinyl or the leather trimmed. You only get 2 colors for that. So with the cloth seats, you also get the carpeted floor. And one of the videos I watched, the press guy for Ford said that the carpets can be removed and they have drain plugs under them. So now moving on, the Black Diamond and the Badlands, those 2 trims are the ones that come standard with the marine grade vinyl seats and the rubberized floor with the drain plugs. So these 2 interiors are meant to be a little bit more tolerant to getting beat up. So whether that be mud, children, pets, whatever it may be. So with the Outer Banks, you get a couple special colorways, and then you can go ahead and upgrade those to leather trim seats / vinyl. On the Badlands, we already said that it comes with the vinyl seat standard. The cloth seats come standard on the Wild Track, but again, leather and trimmed vinyl seats are available for that. And then the first edition comes standard with the leather trimmed / vinyl seats, and then you get carpet floors standard on that. So lastly, for the colors here, for the base you only get Shadow Black, Oxford White, Antimatter Blue, Iconic Silver, Rapid Red, and Velocity Blue. For the Big Bend, you get all the colors, just no Cyber Orange. For the Black Diamond, Outer Banks, Badlands, and Wild Track, you get all the colors. And for the first edition, you get Lightning Blue, which is trim specific only for the first edition, Cyber Orange, Area 51, Cactus Gray, and Rapid Red. Alright everybody, that is going to do it for today's video. Now that I have my cast off here, I should be able to post more often and get back onto a normal schedule. Sorry for the delay in uploads, but I hope today's video was useful. Hopefully you learned something. If not, at least it's a video that has all the details in one place. So if you enjoyed, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Also share it to your friends and those who may enjoy it or find it useful. And of course, go down there, hit that subscribe button, get the bell on to keep up with all the action here. But with all that being said, join the club, and I'll see you in the next one.
I'm the motherfucking greatest, yeah, I'm the greatest, bitch. My competition, they just don't fit that niche. You can try to take a shot at me, I will not flinch.